Hello, hello, and welcome to the Libri Labra Book Club. I'm joined today by my husband John, aka BookTube Hubby, and also by Book Club VIP member Tom. And before we kind of jump into things, if you ever want to join us on screen, you can do that by becoming a Book Club VIP member at patreon.com/Libri Labra. And there's a few other perks like priority commenting, and you get a bookmark, and you get to be in a exclusive Facebook chat where we talk about some of the media that we're consuming, and you also get to be in a rotation where you pick the books that we're reading for the year. So today we are talking about the third book in the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin, and it is The Stone Sky. And we will do just like very brief initial thoughts, and then we will jump into spoiler territory. So if you haven't read it, definitely go check out the trilogy and then come back and watch the video. So
talking about this one, actually there was a lot of first couple book spoilers out.
Yeah,
so
yeah, no,
that's
absolutely,
kind of important.
yeah. So I will do my initial thoughts first.
Okay.
I felt like this one was more challenging than the other two, with like the amount of names and characters and places, and I don't know. I found it harder to follow than the other ones. And we can talk about that more when we get into things. But that was kind of my initial thought. I don't know if I loved how things ended, but it is what it is. So those are my initial thoughts.
Okay. I mean, I flew through it. I loved it. Like, I like these kinds of stories. I like fantasy, and I like, getting to where that's what's gonna happen. What's so it's I was enjoying it. I did enjoy it. I knew going in I was going to enjoy it, but I don't know. I think I might agree a little bit with how it ended, but it is what it is.
How about you, Tom?
Well, I think early on in this book, she starts introducing new stuff, like new terminology. It's like, no. Let's wrap this up.
Yeah, right.
Not freaking give us new stuff to look up now. But no, it was good. Like I said, you have to really keep paying attention to who's talking, and trying to remember what has gone on before, because it was so hard to. Okay, now when did she meet this person, and what in what lifetime or whatever, sort of a thing. So.
Yeah, I think that was. Go ahead.
No, I was just say very well written though, and definitely worth a read. So I will be reading others of her books.
Yeah, I'm a bigger fan of N.K. Jemisin, because of this. When you had showed us the Green Lantern, and then moving on to this, I like it. I like her writing.
Yep.
So I think John was saying something similar. Just he doesn't remember where one book ended and the other one begins.
Well,
it's just like
outside of what happens in Kostrima for the second book, like same situation. Like they go back and tell you old, like the precursor stories. So, excuse me.
Well, I guess at this point, we can jump into spoiler territory. And Tom, this was your trilogy pick, so you can lead the discussion.
Oh, lovely. So in the third volume here, we have Hoa. I can't remember what his name is that he changes it to, but it's close.
It's kind of a different variation of Hoa.
Yeah.
Hoa. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not going to try.
Right. And he starts, it's like a prequel almost. He's like, let's go back to the beginning. It's like, oh, great. Lovely. And they start with the conductors and the tuners and such, which is, I guess, the precursors of the Guardians and I can't remember what the other.
The Stone Eaters?
No, not Stone Eaters. The Origins part.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, what do we think about that? not necessarily a flashback, but just starting at the beginning.
There is information that was unveiled that I guess we are led to believe that Alabaster had something to do with the shattering to begin with, but to when it comes down to it, Hoa was the reason.
Yes, he was the one. Yeah.
Yeah, he was the one that caused all the poop to hit the fan.
Mm-hmm. And that he was a tuner at the time.
Yeah, he was one of the where there's a small number of them that you said her name earlier. What was Kalinli? Yeah, Kalinli. That she was the leader of that little group, but he fell in love with her, and in order to save her and the group, he threw whatever energy the plutonic engine was supposed to be focused at the Earth. He threw it at the moon, and I don't know all that.
Threw it away.
He's like shot the moon away, and then Earth was mad, so he turned everybody into Stone Eaters. At least that group. And
yes.
those were the Sil Energists. Is that what they called them? Because there was also a race war between them and somebody else too. So it was.
Yes, the original origins, I guess. The Thies, I guess is what they were called.
Nice? N-I-S-S?
Nice, yeah.
N-E-I-S-S? Yeah. Damn, I can't really remember these things.
I am thoroughly impressed with your ability not to just remember it, but like to be able to make sense of all of it. Because I feel like if I'm not actively interacting with what I'm reading, like it's just a bunch of parts in my mind, if that makes any sense. Like I feel like I would have had to have been like taking notes and revisiting my notes and being like, who's this, how is this lining up? Like
right now I kind of feel like I know the parts and the names, but I don't know what did what and who was where, and like
and when.
I have some of that. Yeah. So there's definitely some disconnect happening for some of those things for me anyway.
Right.
I can only imagine if you were just like, huh? Another one?
I'm pretty sure I said we were already in spoiler territory, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay,
yeah. Spoiler alerts everywhere.
So was it at the beginning of this book that Nasun killed Jija? Or was it
I was trying to figure that out too. Did she kill her father before or after Kastrima fell?
I do not remember.
Okay, at least I'm not the only one.
I wasn't sure if it was the second.
I think it was after, but I'm not sure. Does that make a difference?
Because, well, I mean, we had to give the child time to grow up. And then when she realized her father was kind of half the reason that everything was happening, and her father started turning against her when he realized she was one too.
Yeah, she was like 10 or 11 at the time.
Yeah, and then she realized that he killed her brother and was like, no, I can't go through this too. I'm sure Nasun was an angry little child.
Okay.
She was mad at her mother. She was mad at until she realized what the planet and what other people were doing to their kind over and over again. She slowly got angry, and then when she realized that the fulcrum changed her mother in certain ways, she got mad at that. So I don't know. It was a lot.
Well, plus also her mother was training her like the fulcrum fulcrum trained her as well. So
is where she got some of the sympathy. It's because she at first she was angry at her mom for training her that way. What else? I see the wheels turning.
Okay, so whose hand did Shafa break?
Demaya's.
Yeah. Well, she was called Demaya as a child.
At the time, right? Yeah.
Okay.
And then afterwards, he didn't he try to do the same thing with Nasun's hand? Oh no! He's the one that described that actually explained.
No, she.
Because mom did that to her hand.
Yes, it was already broken by that time.
Yeah, mom did it to her too. Like she was
trying to
train her. Right.
Nasun didn't like Essen because again she's changing her fulcrum.
Okay. All right. just trying to like.
But that whole thing is basically it was literally a test to make sure that they can handle pain without reacting and
Blowing
like
shit up.
automatically like destroying everything around them.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's a ridiculous way to do it, but
Mhm.
I could see the reasoning.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the whole ending of the book is Jesus Christ. This is why we have guardians in the first place.
Right.
You know, to prevent what was going to happen from happening.
But then even the Guardians were trouble too. Like
Yeah.
for
Who
multiple
watches the
reasons.
Watchmen? Yep.
So the Guardians went through when I guess slowly the pain broke them too because our Earth was constantly trying
Yeah.
to do and manipulate them and get to them. And
Right.
when the Earth finally breaks their mind, they start working for the Earth
Right.
instead of the Guardians, and that's when the Guardians fight the Guardians because they were just
Mhm.
like, no, you're almost like a rampant AI in a sense. Like it learned to know too much, and then it turned sides, and then it was like, okay, you have to be dealt with.
You're a rebel scum at that point. That's what it is.
Wow.
Well, that's
I
true.
guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, you're a turncoat. Not that you decided to do that, but it
Right.
was
Yeah.
imposed upon you.
Oh my goodness. There's, ugh, I don't like that. I just like threads of what we're going through in our society at the moment. Gross. Okay. Was there more?
I mean,
I can ask a question if you want to still think about that.
yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay. Am I right or wrong in thinking that when Jemisin was describing the tuners and their little field trip, she describes them as being ice white, correct?
I think so.
And they put makeup on them so they would blend in with the normal society, correct?
Right. Right.
Which would mean to me that the normal society with people of color, correct?
I had assumed, or I had taken the part of a lot of the origins were people of color.
Right. Well, no, because the thieves I thought were Nice were the origins, because like Noah was, right? Or am I wrong?
Okay. No, I think it makes sense.
Because they're the Nice are white and they're clearly the minority in the society, as opposed to the POC who are in control. They are the majority in the society. And I just thought that was a good turning of tables, because how society has now, in later years, in the present, now it's reversed. Apparently, we have not Caucasians, let's assume, in control, and the people of color / origins being persecuted.
Correct. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's the reason. That's the reason why I brought up the race war earlier, is because it
Yeah.
just seemed like
But it was so subtly done. It's like, wait, did she just say that? Like, oh yeah. So that was one of my favorite moments in the series. So
She's saying the stills or the they were the
technological society which was able to do all this stuff was clearly PLC.
okay.
And then we have to do this thing, and hey, let's harness the power of the Nice to do it, sort of a thing.
Right, because the Synergists, the
Right.
Nice were better with magic than the Synergists were. Right. Okay.
Right. And
Dirty.
so, yeah, and it's just like, well, we're in power and we need to use you. So yeah, guess what? You're going to be used. Come here.
Thanks for building us our pyramid.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So are stills just humans, or are they like?
Yes, they're the non yeah, basically.
Non-origins.
I'm just saying, there's a difference.
Muggles,
Muggles,
if you want.
Right.
So is it a human, or is it like an origin that should have orogeny,
No.
but doesn't.
No, I just thought the stills were all non or origins.
Okay.
Right. There's a fairly good implication that you would have niece genetics somewhere in your tree to help that along. Not that it's necessary, but you know, if you had a collection of origins there, I'm guessing a lot of them would have niece in there. If you did a 23andMe, let's say, oh look, you know, so.
Hmm.
I'm just looking at the appendix.
Yeah, and she waits until maybe the last, I don't know, 50 or so pages to, oh yeah, Tuna was the people who used, both orogeny and magic. Well, thank you. Yes, I'll go to the end of the book.
Right.
So.
That's interesting that I don't know. It just seems like that. I guess it was a select few or a select number that ended up with both abilities
Mm-hmm.
because of the Earth turning everybody that group into Stone Eaters. See, that's one of the things that I'm not completely sure of. Is I know that they had planned on using the obelisks or the plutonic engine to turn everybody to Stone Eaters at some
Right.
point. Was that Nasun that wanted to do that?
Yes, I believe so.
And then at one point she decided, she was like, well, then I'm just going to make the moon hit the planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was waved off that, but again, that's the battle between Essen and Nassen is like, yeah, that's why we have guardians to prevent this kind of stuff.
Right.
When people have that much power concentrated in themselves, it's like, yeah, they're going to use it eventually.
So I guess the part that brought more confusion to me is to who had that kind of power outside of just the two that we're coming across. And Alabaster apparently at some point tried, and that's how he was turning himself to stone by using his powers. And then when she used the obelisk to save Castrima,
Right.
which also destroyed Castrima at the same, like it was like we saved all the people, but we destroyed the
Yeah,
geode
she
they were
trapped
living in.
Yeah, she trapped the Stone Eaters in the what do they call them?
The obelisks.
No, it's like that, but it's not the obelisk. It was what was in Christian that was powering, and I cannot remember.
Oh, the crystals.
Yeah, the crystals, and the crystals broke, and that's why they had to leave Castrima.
Huh.
That's why they were blaming her for destroying Castrima.
Oh, right. What? Well, I
Yeah.
mean, they were all
Well,
going to
would
get
you rather be
murdered if they
dead?
didn't.
It's like,
Right.
well,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So.
I like the. I guess that's going back to book 2, so we'll do that.
What?
That she used the bugs in that fight.
Oh yeah, boil bugs.
I didn't understand the Alabaster commentary that was kind of woven into the chapters, because I couldn't figure out, like, are those thoughts? Couldn't assume hear his thoughts, or like was it not related to her at all? And like, where was he speaking from?
Hmm.
Was that to give us information though? Oh, or was it his journal entries? Is that what it was?
Okay, they were journal entries.
That's
'Cause
what I had thought.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't sure. Are these letters? Are they
The
like
stuff at the end of the chapters, you mean?
I don't know. It was in italics.
Yes. Yeah, this is stuff at the end of the chat. Oh, there was the one part, yes, where there was one chapter where she did that, and it was like the two of them together. I cannot remember the.
Yeah, I don't know if it was every time, but I know there was definitely a time where.
Yeah, there was a chapter where, no, that was Nessun and Nasun together when they were both together at the core or the core point.
Because I know the narrator is Hoa, and when
Right.
he's saying you, he's talking to Asun.
Yeah, who happens to look just like Kalenli. Surprise, surprise.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's why he fell in love with her. He's like, oh, here's a Kalenli replacement.
I was wondering if that was a generational thing, and he's lived long enough to see the multiple generations come down, and finally one had power, and he's like, "Oh, that's the one."
Could be. Well, we'll put it this way: the way you become a Stone Eater, apparently, or at least part of the process, is using orogeny. So if you didn't have orogeny in the first place, you're not getting to Stone Eater.
Right.
So,
But I still didn't understand how they turned to a Stone Eater if they've already started turning themselves to stone.
yeah. Apparently, it's possible because we
Right.
again
Because
in
doesn't
book
Alabaster
two, Alabaster, yeah.
Yeah.
And from what Ho said in book 3, sometimes it takes a while to get yourself back when that when you reform as a Stone Eater, and it's not
Interesting.
it's not clear if you're going to get everything back or not. But
Okay,
look,
so, I was gonna say chapter 12 is called Nasun Not Alone,
right.
and I guess that's where Alabaster mentions that he found books blank, but whatever they're made of isn't paper; it's stiffer than that.
Mm.
And then it kind of goes to her stuff, to Nasun, and then back to Alabaster. So did Nasun find the journals or whatever? I'm just trying to understand the integration of like those two things happening at the same time.
It's unclear, I think, because throughout all 3 books, she uses what would be considered historical sources, and which are not tied directly to the story, as like later ones were. So.
Hi, Onyx Pages. Hope you're doing well. They said, popping in to say that the book was so amazing. I'm glad you're discussing it, and I'll return to the video when I reread the series.
Yeah, it does bear rereading. Yes, absolutely.
It was a bit confusing. So definitely, I feel like I mentioned it before that it feels like a story that I need to actively participate in, and I have to like take notes and make sure that it makes sense in my head before I continue, because there's just a lot of people.
I actually think it would be a really good mini series. Like if they turned it.
No,
into
yeah, that's what I was
to
wondering about that too. Like, I'm surprised this hasn't.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything about it being adapted, but I'm sure it would be really interesting and a huge.
That's with some purpose.
So it's funny. And like, I was listening and reading at the same time. So like if I had just been listening, I would have been even more confused. Like at least seeing the italics, I'm like, oh wait, this is different.
No, I had to use context.
Yeah, so totally impressed.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent miniseries. She'd be particular about the actors.
Well, I think any author would.
Yeah.
She'd have every right to be, actually.
Yeah. But
Hollywood does what it wants.
No, but if you really want to understand this trilogy, you have to reread it. I would think, because Jemisin withholds information until so late in the 3rd book. It's like, okay, now we got to put this puzzle. Now we have all the pieces. Now we have to figure out how the puzzle fits together. In my opinion.
What I would want to go back and figure out is how much of Alabaster's influence was involved in the shattering. If everybody blamed him at some point, or she thought it's something like right, she thought that he did it, right? Esun didn't she was like, wait, if he's the one with this much power, and he's at maybe he was that. I think there was like some sort of now that I'm not finding the word I'm looking for. But the idea that he might have been screwed up because he thought he did it, like he went slowly, blaming himself or feeling like he had to be the one to fix a lot of things.
Well, but let's see. I believe it was Alabaster because his partner apparently in the first chapter of the first book is Antimony. It was his
Right. And he had something to do with
the shattering that affects.
But then we find out that Hoa was the one that did all that.
He threw away the moon, but he didn't do the shattering.
That's
I
what
thought that was
started this. That was what started the shattering, was throwing away the moon.
No, I thought that the shattering was because that was after the Guardians had destroyed Mayoff, and Alabaster was all kind of ticked off, and he was like, "All right, I'll show you." And here we go.
Okay. It was just a series of events then.
Mm-hmm. And also, it was Alabaster who started the moon back toward Earth. He did part one, but he needed somebody else like Asim to do part
I
two.
thought he was the one that just figured out that it was in a broken orbit. Like it was just.
Yeah, he figured it out, but he said he did part one, that he couldn't do part two because he was almost stoned by then.
Oh yeah, he was already broken, right?
Yeah. So.
Okay, so am I understanding that as Alabaster was like writing these journal entries, he was slowly turning to stone and kind of losing some cognition?
Possibly, maybe.
Because there was one entry specifically where he referred to it's antimony.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. That was his stone eater, right?
3 different times he referred to that name, and each time it was completely different. Thanks for stopping by.
He never knew how to spell it.
No, it was definitely like it just like once it was like there was no T, it was antimony, and then the third time it was like tinimony. Like it just I don't know. To me, it seemed like some of his faculties were going.
It could be closely related, metals or something. They could be different people. I don't think they are, but they could be.
Well, I noticed that they named the Stone Eaters after different metals.
Yeah.
Is that what you're pointing at?
Yeah, stones or metals or something like that. Yeah, like antimony.
But I mean,
steel, for example.
Right, and I'm not sure I understand. So, do we actually have the point where a bunch of Stone Eaters started following and they just killed each other off until there's one left? Because they were all like
Highlander?
They're mine. Yeah, well that's my origin. I'm gonna follow that one. You get away. Because it seemed like they each had an issue with other Stone Eaters, and at some point, because there was infighting between them a lot. Like they tore each other apart for different reasons.
Yeah, well, I think there was the pro-human, the anti-human faction.
Oh, okay, all right. Didn't want to fix the planet, wanted to fix the planet, right?
Well, to them, fixing the planet would be killing the humans.
Right. Oh, a different way to fix it.
Yeah. As I say, it depends on who you're talking to. Yeah, that totally fixes. Because the Stone Eaters do not need the humans, apparently.
So. Not the stills, the origins they needed.
Why?
Well, I don't think all of them knew that there were Stone Eaters with those powers. Like, did Hoa still have that power when he was turned into Stone Eater, or was it just when he was a tuner?
When he was a tuner, I would think.
Right. So I figured that after they become Stone Eaters, they couldn't do what the origins could do.
Correct. They have a different power set or skill set.
So they still needed the origins in order to do things for the obelisks with the obelisks, or to power.
To harness that power, yes. And to create more Stone Eaters, if that was your. Because it's unclear as to if they could reproduce on their own.
Yeah, I don't think they could. They were just immortal-ish.
Yeah. And I think it says in the book, yeah, eternity is a long time. And you got to find something to do to fill it. So,
Play with the toys.
yeah. So,
Any other things we should touch on?
I'm not sure. Oh, well, what about Shafa?
Oh, did he break in the last book, or was it this book? Because it was okay. Because it was some point, excuse me, that he ended up underwater or in some sort of lake somewhere, and that's when he went through his mental breakdown. Like the earth got
I
to him.
remember, yeah, and he had to be brought back.
Right.
No, that was after Mayow, wasn't it? That was like he was on the ship, remember?
Yeah.
And with that other origin, the Fulcrum origin, who's never named, unless I missed it. And then I don't know if the ship sank or what, but he went down, and he had to be saved. And in doing so, that somehow altered him physically and mentally,
Right.
so that he became a different person. Which I thought, it's great because we have Essen, Demaya, I can't remember what her other name was, in different lifetimes.
It started with an S.
Yeah.
So, could that actually have been something at some point where they, because what she said about them losing their faculties after becoming
Cyanite.
cyanite.
Cyanite, yes.
But does that mean that Shafa went through part of that metamorphosis and he lost some of his faculties at that point?
I believe so. He lost some of his memories at least.
I do have to read some of this.
Yeah,
again.
that's what I say. You have to read it again. It was a lot. But yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. As a result of his being resurrected, let's say, he does lose some of his memories. And he knows that he had them, but he doesn't know what happened to him.
And then as he went closer and closer, because he going to core point, which makes sense that it would be closer to the core of the planet if that's what they called it.
Yes.
So as he got closer and closer to that, he started losing his mind again, or even worse. And it was that and the pain, like the earth was just drilling into him.
I have you now.
So she had to do something with him at that point. I don't remember what happened. Did she pull his Sesapine out?
I believe
the core stone that was the base of his.
Stone, yeah.
Yeah. So that means he started slowly aging and dying then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean he died, or did he somehow get saved? Or
well, I think that Nasun extended his life a little by whatever she did, but he still ended up dying.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't think he was killed when she stole the energy from the Guardians that were in the underground tunnel, or the underground part.
Right.
He was separate.
So does that mean both? Yeah, it does. So I said both Esun and Nasun had the ability to play with the magic, people's life magic.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay.
Yes. But Nasun was more intuitively adept at it.
Okay.
Because Nasun was the one who said, "Oh, hey, what's this?" And I could start playing with, the silver strands, along with, or in conjunction with the orogeny. But it didn't even. Essence says she's doing stuff that I never
seen before. Yeah.
Yeah. And Essence has seen the silver things, but she can't manipulate them like,
Right.
Nasun can. Yay, genetics? I don't know. But.
I really liked how all of that was described, like the being able to see each person's silver strand life force how it tied to the planet and what
Mhm.
and all of that. So I'd like to be able to see that done in a visual medium.
Also, too, it's like, throughout the books they say, "Oh, evil is trying to kill us," and yeah, it's true. Not that the earth, not like was it the like the shattering,
Well,
didn't help, but
no, the Earth was upset about all of that.
yeah, was upset about losing the moon, and then that's how everything spun out of control. Yeah, because the season started because the Earth lost the moon.
I imagine if the moon decided it wanted to go in a weird orbit and go away from us, our oceans would be screwed up. The
Yes,
gravitational pull is very important.
Martin, right.
So, like, I imagine that's a great science fiction idea. It's like
Now,
throw it in, see what happens.
one of the things that you could postulate, though, is if it's true that uh, rock and stone is the perfect container for a soul, why doesn't the moon have a soul? And if it has a soul, well, I don't want to go back to the Earth. I'm doing my thing out in the galaxy, baby. You know, and that would have been interesting. Yeah, it's like, I don't want to go.
Have the moon actually rebel in some
But
way.
exactly, yeah, it's like a rebellious teenager. Exactly.
So it looks like Sony Pictures.
Oh, you're trying to see if it's been optioned?
Yeah. And it says that N.K. Jemisin is going to be adapting it herself. Like she's going to be writing the
Good.
screenplay.
Mm-hmm.
But this was like 3 years ago. I mean, I don't know how long the production of all that takes, but like,
I mean, 3 to 4 years is usually a good turnaround, but it could take a lot longer than that.
but it says that they won the bidding war with a 7-figure deal.
Yeah, but all the same, it could lie on the shelf for years without being produced. So.
Huh.
It was optioned, but then what time to actually make it? Who knows?
She actually, I think, setting up from book 1 to book 3, like there would be a lot more going on in book 3 that would need more of a budget. So I hope it does pick up and actually get what it needs, because that's.
Yeah. Well, I guess the interesting question then to me would be, is it going to look like the book in the sense that it's going to tell the story the same way? Like
I would hope so.
I would hope so too.
But chances, I mean, again, Hollywood does different things. But if she's actually involved in the writing, then hopefully that can actually port it well, I guess. But the visual effects is probably what I'm more worried about. I want to see, because the descriptions are great, but I think seeing it would be easier for more people to understand.
Yes. Well, it would be obvious. Well, maybe not. Like the 3 stages of Aeson.
Oh, no, yeah. What was the last show that actually showed like the child, the teenager, and the adult, and you didn't know it was the same person until like later on?
I know it's been done, but I can't think of any at the moment.
It can be done.
Oh yeah. It depends on how much easier the studio wants to make it for the casual viewer. I would think. Because they could just tell the story linearly, starting to when we start with
Right.
and then proceed through cyanide, and
I
then
don't see them doing that.
I don't see that. I think that's
I would
done
hope not,
specifically. I think that's done on purpose.
Yeah, because that seems to be so much part of the story that it's like, no, you can't do that. So, any questions, Desiree? Because it seems like your wheels are turning.
just I don't know where to go.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I know.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I said that I don't know how to describe how I felt about the ending because, like, I feel like at the end of the second book, it kind of seemed like we were gearing up for there to be this big battle between mother and daughter.
I mean, it kind of was,
and like, yeah,
but for a
it kind
short
of
time.
was, but at the same time, it's like I don't know. I don't know why it didn't feel as big as like I was expecting it to be.
So that could be an issue that Hollywood ends up messing up.
right.
Like if they don't actually do that scene well enough, it has to be explained later. No, it can be done. It was written well. So, but yeah, I agree. It did seem anticlimactic.
That Asun decides not to fight anymore and just stands down.
Yeah, she's like, nah, I'm not gonna. Well, she's like, I can't kill another one of my children,
Right.
right? So that
And-
sentiment has to be expressed plainly.
Yes. And then having to hope that Nasen does the right thing.
Right, rather than
What she was going to do originally.
right. It was just, well, I win.
Yep. Surprise!
Uh,
Yes, but
alternate ending. I win.
yes, but Desiree should be happy that was it Asun and Hoa end up together at the end.
The relationships were so complicated in this book.
Yeah.
With like, wait, who did you say ended up together at the end?
Esun and Hoa.
Asun and Hoa.
Okay.
They were both stone eaters
Yes.
that have since vowed to protect the earth
Right.
from then forth.
Mhm.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Why? Because I don't know. She seems like, I don't know. It seemed like that was all the relationships were kind of expressed in a way that weren't completely monogamous or
Yeah, no, I agree.
like poly
Mhm.
or
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's just more love and understanding.
Mm-hmm. Like with
That's something
in
humans really do need. It's too much going on.
yeah, they did the doctor wrong though, just like wiping him out.
Oh, dude! Like the doctor been messed up multiple times. He sat and watched his entire village get raised,
Right.
and then he had to forgive her at that point. And
Right.
well, now I gotta help. I'm here to help as a
Right.
doctor. I have to help.
Mhm.
But then she does it again.
Yep.
They ended up having a small relationship too, right?
Yeah. Of convenience, yes.
Ridiculous.
Well, like who was it? Hoa, I think, explains that one of the reasons why Steel is the way he is because he doesn't have a companion, and eternity's a long time to spend alone.
Steel did seem kind of
Yeah.
harsh.
Yeah, and
Cold.
the implication is that he was always that way.
But they named him aptly then.
Mhm.
Cold as steel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but isn't steel is an alloy though, isn't it? It's like bronze and tin, I think. Unless I'm just doing video games again.
Yeah, I thought steel was mined. Is it just is it of iron?
So yeah, I don't.
Now I gotta go back to science class.
Yeah. So I'm not sure that it plays into the story, but it's just that just occurred to me.
Ho is just like, he needs to find love.
Mm-hmm. All you need is love. Everybody. But Yeah, I think one of the best turns in the book was, showing Shafa in a different light. Jemison allows Dawson, Essen, these various lives where she's very different from what she was before, and then she gives that to Shafa, which I thought was great. Even though he's still freaking creepy to me. He's still,
Yeah, I don't know. Shafa did seem like because as soon he got too old to control, he was like, let me find another child.
mm-hmm.
Nah, not particularly. It was more like it was because he had been a changed person when he come across
Mm-hmm.
and I guess the recognizing that she had looked a lot like his previous charge. Is that why he followed her around a little? Like he was like, oh, Nasun, you look like Esli, or whoever that she called her back then. Started with a D.
Demaya.
Yeah, that.
Could be. Or you recognize that, oh, hey, Demaya / Cyanide / Ace and your mom. So
See, that was done for a specific reason too. It had to have been. So is this a thing where we're gonna find that some of the other characters were the same as characters we came across previously, but they were differently named because it was different parts of their lives?
Antimony had a different name.
Is that what? Yeah, I guess that's.
So did Tonki.
Yeah. So we missed the whole cast of characters, but I mean, they kind of left some of those characters behind from the second book after Castrima. So.
Well, yeah, they plus they had to make the trek across the desert, so you're bound to lose folks then, too. Like, what was it? Fiarca. I can't remember what happened to her. Tonki's partner.
Hmm. I don't remember what happened to that one either.
Yeah. So. But yeah, I mean, to think that you're the same person as you were when you were a kid is ridiculous. So of course you're going to be different, just but yet you're the same person. So it's like in modern society, and how fair is it that we judge a person by the worst thing they ever did, regardless of when it happened? So.
Respected leader of the village. He taught half of our kids. He built 3 houses, but screw one goat.
Yeah.
But I mean, like,
and then they call you goat.
Right. I don't remember where I heard that joke from.
What's up with that? Yeah.
Yeah, but it was just. Your son had a good quote about that recently.
Oh. He said, every sinner has a future and every saint has a past.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Let's see what I highlighted here. Yeah, some quotes. I only did 3, but I think they're good ones. Only people who think they have a future fear death.
Interesting.
Yeah. Or, going back to Shafa, how much more welcome would a guardian's conditional, predictable love have been to Dawson after her parents' unconditional love had betrayed her again and again? Did Aeson fail Dawson somehow? Or is that just something that, that's Dawson's perception, but that's not what happened?
But that's putting a trust in the other parent.
Mm-hmm.
So how could she have failed her when it was the other parent that was the problem? but then she basically was just teaching. It's generational trauma all over. It's like because mom went through that. She goes, well, I got to put my daughter through it to make sure she's going to be a good origin. But then that's not the way to handle it. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but with Nassim though, Essen could have recognized that. Yeah, she's going to be powerful, and she needs to know how to control this stuff, so she doesn't trigger quakes and whatnot when she gets angry. Because that's why people are afraid of the origins to begin with.
right?
That's why they kill them.
Because they fear that they would
Right.
do what she did to the village.
Right. And then eventually, at the end of the series, it's like, yeah, almost destroying the world. Same idea. It's like, yeah, this is why we have guardians. But again, who watches the Watchmen? Guardians have to be watched as well.
But so does that mean that Shafa actually started her down a different or wrong or a better path because he was a different person? Or
I don't think if she didn't have any relationship with Shafa, Nasa would have totally, just destroyed the world. And I think she says that. Yeah, I would kill everybody.
Oh
but
no,
I know
she absolutely,
Shafa.
she absolutely loved Shafa like a parent.
Right. But that's what that. So yes, knowing him saved the world essentially because she didn't want to see Shafa dead in that world. So. And then it became, well, since I can't kill the world, this is what I can do instead. I'll turn them all into stone eaters. As a consolation prize, I guess. I don't know. So yeah,
and then nobody would die.
Which has its own perils, as they point out in the book. So as I said, eternity is a very long time.
Especially with that many people.
Right. Yeah, I think, and that's why we have death. I think it's because, so we don't get overcrowded and we're not living on top of one another and stuff.
I mean, we're getting close.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a story out there in Julian Barnes's collection of short stories called 9.5 Weeks, which, it's basically about heaven, and it's like, what would heaven be like? And it's like, oh, you do the same things every day and they're all perfect. It's like, so where's the challenge? It's like, oh, look, I shot 18 holes in one on the golf course again. So point being, I guess we have to have some kind of challenge to make things interesting. And in this case, it seems like the challenge was filling your time, now that you're immortal. Which is probably what the Earth had in mind. It's like, okay, this is your punishment now. You get to live forever.
So then Nasun at the end was partially Stone Eater or turning into a Stone Eater?
Esun or Nasun?
Nasun.
Yes. Because she expended so much power with the ending battle. And then she had to put the moon to rights after that. So, yeah.
But I thought that would be turning her to stone, not into a stone eater.
I think isn't that steps along the same path?
Or is it's just a one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Alabaster turned to stone, and then he was a stone eater.
Yeah,
but I don't understand how that works then. If the stone eaters are eating the stones off of, because everybody was eating his arm, right?
I don't know. I don't remember that.
Okay.
Well, Hoa does. Like he eats Aesun's arm. Yeah. I guess
she's like, no, what do you do? He was like, no, let me do this. It'll be easier for you to operate.
Right.
It'll be easy for you. You don't have to carry around a stone arm. It's weird. Oh boy.
Well, then the question becomes, well, what happens if they don't get a complete set of the person? Then what happens then?
Is that what they don't get back?
Yeah. Who knows? No, the implication though is even if you have a complete set of materials, you could be a stone eater but not have no idea who you were prior to becoming a stone eater. Like yourself is gone. But you can remember 50%, 20%.
So that's how she was able to. That's because Hoa fell in love with her as a stone eater,
right.
and he turned her into a stone eater. So she was probably just all of her previous relationships were. She didn't know that she just fell in love with Hoa because he was there.
Mm.
So that could be a way to describe that. To explain
Well,
that.
well, it's also because Hoa took a lot of time and a lot of care of bringing her back as a stone eater, because that's what I think he said. That's why Alabaster is a little bit clunky because he was brought back so quickly.
Okay.
That's
Antimony rushed it.
Right, yeah, Antimony rushed it. And, it's unclear if Essen remembers her entire past life, but she at least remembers at least the basics of who she was. And the implication is that she will get more of herself back as she goes along. So.
But does that mean no? I said that means Shafa was slowly changing at some point, but no, I don't know. Maybe there's another explanation for all of that. Like I mean, I was just trying to tie threads that really didn't go together.
Right. Well, I think in that case, it seems like the Core Stone gives them powers to neutralize orogeny.
Right. But there were certain guardians that had the ability to use the orogeny, like turn it around on them. Like not all, I don't think all guardians had that ability, right? Or all guardians had the ability to touch an origin and rip themselves apart.
The implication is if one can do it, I guess all of them can do it. But much like, Essen and Nasen knows how much more skill using magic than Essen is. So the two origins, they have two different skill sets. You know
Right.
what I mean? So it's unclear.
I thought it was just a scale. It was just a matter of how much power one had. Like this one stopped here, but this one had so much more they could figure out how to do other things.
Maybe.
So,
or it's their perception of it, is greater.
That's because they explained that too. The difference of someone that was trained by the fulcrum or someone who had figured out on their own. That the ones that figured out on their own were had a completely different skill set. It was a lower skill set, but it was different.
Well, that's what the head woman of Katrina.
Right. That's who I was thinking about.
Yeah. I kind of thought of that as the difference between in this world, the difference between wizards and witches. The wizards, they're all about book learning and such, and
the witches are of nature and
yes, exactly.
Things. Yeah.
Yes, more directly connected to the earth. So
Interesting.
Do you have more?
I do not. Do you?
I don't know.
Yes,
Too
much.
By
the way, I forgot.
Oh yeah, no, I don't want to. I don't think I need to dig anymore.
No, it's the kind of thing.
I want to go back and reread it now.
Because now that you have all the puzzle pieces, and now we can put the puzzles together. Yay! Which is what I was doing. When I finished the first one, it's okay. So apparently that Alabaster is the one who did it. The world, which now that makes more sense, and now we know who's talking and what's being talked about.
So at this point, I have enough puzzle pieces to see the big picture.
Right.
I still think there's pieces missing that I didn't understand.
Yes.
I need to go back and find those missing pieces. Finish the outline before I start filling in. Yeah.
Or the pieces could be lying next to each other, just not put together, and it's and this way, and there you go. So, which is what makes it a good novel, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a very detailed world.
Indeed.
Complex.
That's good modern science fiction. So I'm more acquainted with the older stuff, but This is very well done.
Are we ready for final thoughts?
I am.
Okay.
Do I give the whole series the star rating?
You know what?
Or do I give just the book the series? I don't know, because
Give the book a star rating and then give the whole series a star
well, I'm
rating.
gonna go 5 for both, just because I'm the third book did try to answer a lot of questions that the first 2 books. Of course, it makes sense. Let's go ahead and finish the tapestry, but like. My brain just stalled. I don't know where to go now.
Okay.
But it was. I think it was more like it's just. I want to go back. This is another one of these the books that I would love to reread, and I say that knowing I'm probably going to be a while before I do it. But I know I there are definitely things I'd love to revisit, especially if it comes out in a visual medium. But 5 stars, 5 stars.
I feel like I'm a more visual person, period. And there was definitely stories, like for example, when we started reading Outlander, that was like really challenging for me in the beginning. And it wasn't until I watched the first episode of Outlander that I was then able to go back to the book and like felt like I was understanding what was happening.
Do you need the Harry Potter world to be laid out before reading so you can see and you have a visual like idea of the characters going through it? Was that a thing too? Because I know you read the books first,
Yes.
but did watching the movies do something different like that?
For whatever reason, that series didn't feel as complicated, even though it's a very thorough thorough world. But that didn't feel as complicated. I would say another thing. Well, I haven't really read Game of Thrones, but I remember that someone suggested to me. They were like, before you start reading it, watch a few episodes.
Oh, to get
because there's so many characters and so many things going on. So
I imagine I have the same problem with understanding the character. Like even watching the show, the newer show, which goes backwards and it talks about Rhaenyra, Rhaenys, and all of those different versions of names. I'm sure that would definitely reading that I wouldn't understand how many of those were different characters. So that I get. Okay.
So I think I gave like the first one and the second one 4 stars, and I would probably give this one also 4 stars, and probably the entire series 4 stars.
4 stars, 4 stars.
It could change if like I reread it and then maybe it was like, oh, it all makes sense
I understand.
now. Yeah.
5. Hooray.
Yeah. Possible.
That 5th star is waiting for the show to come out.
We're just reading it. For me, I gave the first 2 4 stars, and then this one 4.5. Because I felt like I understood more, of the story. But again, that's no reflection on the book or the author. It's just my understanding and my enjoyment of it. So, like I said, it could be 5 stars next time I go to read. Assuming I remember something of what this reading was. So.
All right. So, for the month of October, we are reading Infested by Ángel Luis Colón.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you guys don't like the synopsis or whatever. Just
I mean,
it's an MTV fear novel by MTV Entertainment Books, which I think is interesting. It's definitely
they're doing that now.
It's young adult, which
Apparently.
I feel like we haven't read a young adult book in a little while. I think.
Well, I mean, they stopped doing music television so many years ago, and I might as well do something else, right?
Yep.
But I've met the author.
Didn't we go to one of his talks or signings?
He was at YALLFest last year. So I'm just really interested. It takes place in New York. Because I think wherever they are, they moved to New York, I believe. So I'm looking forward to it. And it feels like a nice spooky read
that's
for
a good
October.
choice for October. Okay, I get it.
So
And short.
yeah, it's not too long. Yeah. And it was my pick. So, and those were the reasons why I picked it. So anyway, if you've joined us today and you're still here, thank you for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed our discussion and that you come back soon for our infested discussion. And one more time, if you ever want to join us on screen or help us pick the books and be part of our exclusive Facebook chat where we talk about the media we're consuming, you can do that by becoming a book club VIP member on patreon.com/Libri Labra. Once again, thanks for hanging out, and see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.